Welcome to BooTube Tales where nightmares get a spotlight. True horror stories, real-life terror, chilling tales. Here are 5 chilling real-life Halloween horror stories, ranging from haunted locations to unexplained supernatural encounters. Story 1. The Villisca Axe Murder House. On a quiet street in the small town of Villisca, Iowa, stands a white frame house that looks like any other, except it isn't. This innocent-looking home holds one of America's darkest and most chilling unsolved mysteries. Picture this. It's June 10th, 1912. As the sun rises over the peaceful town, a neighbor notices something unusual. The Moore family hasn't started their daily routine. No smoke from the chimney, no children playing in the yard. When concerned townspeople finally entered the house, they discovered a scene so horrific it would haunt the community for generations. 8 people, Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 children, and 2 young guests, had been brutally murdered in their sleep. The weapon, an axe found resting against the wall, still marked with the evidence of its terrible purpose. The killer had methodically moved from room to room, striking each victim in the head, leaving no survivors to tell the tale. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Despite an extensive investigation, multiple suspects, and even several confessions, the murderer was never caught. The case grew cold, but the house never forgot. Today, the Villisca Axe Murder House stands as a memorial and a paranormal hotspot. Visitors report spine-chilling experiences, the sound of children crying in empty rooms, objects moving on their own, and most disturbingly, the shadowy figure of a man wielding an axe. But perhaps the most unsettling incident happened in 2014, when history seemed to echo through time in a bizarre twist. During a paranormal investigation, a visitor named Robert Lorson Jr. suddenly and inexplicably stabbed himself in the chest. The timing sent chills down everyone's spine. It happened at approximately 3 a.m., the same time investigators believe the original murders took place a century earlier. Lorson survived, but to this day, he's never explained what drove him to such a desperate act. Was it mere coincidence? Or did something in that house, something lingering from that terrible night in 1912, influence his actions? The Villisca Axe Murder House continues to draw brave souls from across the country, each hoping to uncover its secrets. Some come for the history, others for the thrill, but all leave with the same unsettling question. In a house where such horror occurred, what exactly remains? And more chillingly, are the victims of that bloody night still trying to tell their story? Remember, while some old houses creak with age, this one whispers with memories. And sometimes, in the dead of night, those whispers become screams, echoes of a century-old tragedy that refuses to be forgotten. Story 2. The Haunted Frozen Elsa Doll. In a quiet Houston neighborhood, where life usually moves at a predictable pace, something truly bizarre began to unfold. It all started with what seemed like an ordinary Christmas gift in 2013, a Disney frozen Elsa doll bringing joy to a young girl's face. You know the type, those popular dolls that sing "Let It Go" and speak a few pre-programmed phrases. For 2 years, everything was normal. The doll did exactly what it was supposed to do, light up, sing, and bring smiles. But then things took an unsettling turn. The family started noticing something strange about their daughter's Elsa doll. It would suddenly start speaking, switching between English and Spanish without anyone touching it. Creepy, right? But here's where it gets even weirder. One day they heard that familiar "Let It Go" melody floating through their house. Nothing unusual about that except the doll's switch was turned off, completely off. The family did what most of us would do. They removed the batteries. But somehow the singing continued. Understandably freaked out, they decided to throw the doll away. Problem solved, right? Wrong. A few days later, there it was, sitting inside their locked bench in the backyard. How did it get there? Nobody knew. They threw it away again, this time making sure it went in the garbage truck. Case closed? Not quite. Would you believe me if I told you the doll showed up again? This time it was just... The family started to feel like they were living in their own personal horror movie. Every time they thought they'd gotten rid of it, Elsa would find her way back home. Finally, at their wits' end, they came up with a desperate solution. They mailed the doll all the way to Minnesota, thousands of miles away. But they weren't taking any chances this time. The recipients were instructed to strap the doll to their truck's bumper. Because if there's one thing this family learned, it's that some toys just don't want to let go. To this day, People debate what really happened with the haunted Elsa doll. Was it an elaborate malfunction, a practical joke? Or perhaps, just perhaps, there was something more supernatural at play in this modern-day ghost story. One thing's for certain, this family will think twice before buying another singing doll.
Story 3. The Suicide Hotel del Salto. Perched on the edge of a cliff in Colombia, there stands a building with a history as dark as the depths it overlooks. This is the Hotel del Salto, a place where luxury and tragedy dance an eternal waltz. In 1923, when the hotel first opened its doors, it was the epitome of elegance. The French-style mansion attracted Colombia's elite, who would arrive in their finest attire to enjoy breathtaking views of the Tequendama Falls. The thundering waters below created a mesmerizing symphony that echoed through the halls, making it seem like paradise on earth. But there's something haunting about this place that predates the hotel itself. The Indigenous Muisca people tell a story that sends chills down your spine. When Spanish conquistadors arrived, pushing them further into their territory, the Muisca made a devastating choice. Rather than submit to colonial rule, they leaped from these very cliffs, choosing death over surrender. Their final acts of defiance would set a dark precedent for what was to come. As years passed, the hotel gained a different kind of notoriety. Guests began checking in with no intention of checking out. One by one, people drawn to the cliff's edge would take their final steps into the misty abyss below. Some say they were influenced by the ancient Muisca spirit of resistance. Others blame the hypnotic pull of the falls themselves. The hotel's reputation grew darker with each passing decade. Whispers of supernatural occurrences began to circulate. Staff would report seeing figures in period dress vanishing around corners. Guests would wake to the sound of crying in empty rooms. The falls themselves seemed to carry voices in their roar, perhaps echoes of those who had chosen to make them their final destination. Eventually, the hotel closed its doors to guests, unable to shake its grim reputation. But the story doesn't end there. In an interesting twist of fate, this place of death has found new life as a museum. Yet even in its new role, the paranormal activity hasn't ceased. Visitors report seeing shadowy figures on the balconies, feeling sudden cold spots in the corridors, and hearing whispers in empty rooms. Today, the Hotel del Salto stands as a testament to both the beauty and darkness that can exist in a single place. Its elegant architecture still catches the eye, while its tragic history catches the soul. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying the heavy atmosphere that surrounds this building, where the line between the past and present, the living and the dead, seems to blur in the mist of the eternal falls.
Story 4. The Bell Witch Haunting. America's most chilling ghost stories, the infamous Bell Witch haunting. This isn't your typical campfire tale. This is a dark piece of Tennessee history that's been keeping people up at night for over 2 centuries. Picture this. It's 1817, and the Bell family is living what seems to be a peaceful life on their farm in Robertson County, Tennessee. John Bell, a respected farmer and church elder, his wife Lucy, and their children had no idea their lives were about to become a living nightmare. It started with strange sounds, the rattling of chains dragging across wooden floors, mysterious knocking on walls, and the distant barking of dogs that weren't there. But that was just the beginning. Soon, the family started hearing whispers in the dark, voices that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The entity, whatever it was, grew bolder with each passing day. It wasn't content just making noise anymore. Family members would wake up with bruises, their hair pulled, and their faces slapped by invisible hands. The youngest daughter, Betsy, got the worst of it. She was pinched, scratched, and tormented relentlessly. When visitors came to the farm, the spirit would make itself known. It could carry on intelligent conversations, sing hymns, and even quote scripture, but there was nothing holy about its intentions. The entity identified itself as Kate Batts, a neighbor who had accused John Bell of cheating her in a land deal. On her deathbed, she had sworn to haunt John Bell and his descendants. The haunting reached its terrifying climax in 1820 when John Bell fell mysteriously ill. He began experiencing strange symptoms, twitching, difficulty swallowing, and periods of unconsciousness. Then one morning, the family found a mysterious vial of dark liquid near his bed. When they gave some to the cat, it died instantly. The Bell Witch had claimed its victory. John Bell passed away that very day, and witnesses say they could hear cackling laughter at his funeral. The legacy of the Bell Witch lives on. The cave where the spirit supposedly dwelled still stands in Adams, Tennessee. Visitors report strange phenomena to this day. The story has inspired countless books, documentaries, and yes, even influenced the making of the Blair Witch Project. Some say it was mass hysteria, others claim it was an elaborate hoax. But ask the locals in Adams, Tennessee, and they'll tell you the Bell Witch hasn't left. She's still there, waiting in the shadows, a chilling reminder that some grudges refuse to die, even after death itself. What makes this story particularly unsettling isn't just the supernatural elements, it's the detailed documentation, the numerous witnesses, and the fact that it affected not just the Bell family, but an entire community. Even President Andrew Jackson, who visited the farm, reportedly said, "I'd rather face the entire British Army than spend another night with the Bell Witch." So next time you hear an unexplained noise in the night or feel an unexplained chill down your spine, remember, some ghost stories are more than just stories. The Bell Witch made sure of that. Story 5. The Puppy in the Basement. Let me tell you about something that still sends chills down my spine, even years later. You know how childhood memories can sometimes be fuzzy, dreamlike even? But this one remains crystal clear, like it happened yesterday. I grew up in a typical suburban house, nothing special about it at first glance. 2 stories, white picket fence, the whole American dream package. But there was one rule in our house that was absolutely non-negotiable. Never ever go into the basement. My mother was usually pretty lenient with rules, which made this particular one stand out even more. The basement is off limits, she'd say, with an edge to her voice I rarely heard otherwise. Of course, being a curious kid, this only made me more interested in what was down there. Then came that autumn afternoon. I was playing with my toys in the living room when I heard it, the distinct sound of a puppy whimpering. It was coming from the basement. Now I loved dogs, and the thought of a puppy being stuck down there broke my heart. The sounds continued, becoming more playful, like little yips and barks. Despite my mother's warnings, I couldn't resist. I waited until she was busy in the kitchen and slowly opened the basement door. The stairs creaked under my feet as I descended into the darkness. The puppy sounds grew louder, more inviting, but what I saw when I reached the bottom, I'll never forget it. There, in the dim light filtering through a tiny window, was not a puppy at all. It was a boy, or something that looked like a boy, but wrong. He had no arms, no legs, just a torso and a head. And he was making those puppy sounds, perfectly mimicking them while staring right at me with eyes that seemed too old, too knowing. Before I could scream, my mother's hand grabbed my shoulder. She yanked me up those stairs so fast I barely touched them. Next thing I knew, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a chocolate chip cookie in front of me, my mother acting as if nothing had happened. To this day, she's never acknowledged what was in our basement. When we moved out years later, I never saw anything being taken from down there. The new owners never reported anything strange as far as I know, but sometimes, late at night, I still hear those puppy sounds in my dreams, and I wake up wondering, what was really living in our basement all those years? Some questions, I've learned, are better left unanswered. Subscribe for more horror stories.